Hey everyone, thanks for being with us. I'm Robert Olguin.
And I'm Liz Dewicki. New video here sparking concerns in Colorado over an alleged presence of a Venezuelan gang.
Yeah, the mayor of Aurora, Colorado has said that the gang took over an apartment complex, but some residents and immigrant advocates say that's simply not true.
So police there have also not verified those claims. One video going around social media, though, showing a group of men trying to break into an apartment unit. However, residents who live at those apartments say the narrative of unruly gang activity has been taken out of context. Now, in an effort to change that narrative, residents addressed the media saying that they have not had any interactions with gangs. They say they are more afraid of the conditions that they're living in.
My apartment has rats, I have bugs in it, but every time I call the landlord for the past 6 months asking him to fumigate the apartment, they disappear, they don't respond. So you tell me, who's the real criminal here?
All right, so the management company, CBZ Management, also oversaw another apartment complex that was shut down last month, also a location that has alleged gang activity. Residents say they feel racism has played a role, and they want their narrative to change and want to meet with the city.
All right, so that's happening in Aurora, Colorado. But according to the Border Patrol, members of that Venezuelan gang have been detained by agents here in El Paso.
And today we're hearing from law enforcement and experts as well. KFOX 14 News at 5's Harrison Parker live in the newsroom right now with more on what they have to say. Harrison?
That's right, Liz. Tren de Aragua is a Venezuelan gang that only recently shows up in some Border Patrol data. I went and reached out today to experts to find out if we here in El Paso should be afraid of this newer arrival on the scene.
I always thought MS-13 was pretty violent on that, and I never thought that I would compare one gang to MS-13 and call MS-13 a little softer. That's weird coming out of my mouth to say that about MS-13.
Victor Manjarrez is a former Border Patrol chief who now teaches on the subject at UTEP. He says Tren de Aragua is incredibly violent, but even though some members may be crossing the border through El Paso, it's not a direct danger to those living here.
They're in big cities. They're like places in Chicago, Miami, New York City, LA. Generally, these type of gangs don't really stop at El Paso.
El Paso Congressman Tony Gonzalez echoed Manjarrez's concerns in a House committee meeting on Homeland Security back in April.
Tren de Aragua, these Venezuelan gangs, they're growing in influence, they're growing in criminal activity throughout the country, and I believe they are a significant threat to our homeland.
Manjarrez says the gang started 11 or 12 years ago in Venezuela, and they've been increasingly forced out of the country and north to the United States.
When your revenues start to take a downward spin, what do? You try to open up markets, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Manjarrez says it won't be a problem for us here in El Paso, but something that we'll see in the news nationally as they settle across the country.
I really do think it's very unlikely in the foreseeable future, but it's something we should continue to keep an eye out, because I believe that this gang will ultimately be much more violent than MS-13.
Well, coming up at 5:30, we'll have some more details on some numbers on how much of this gang exists here in the United States, as well as what authorities know about them so far. So come back with us at 5:30. In the meantime, I'm Harrison Parker reporting from the newsroom, KFOX 14 News at 5.
All right, Harrison, thank you. So back in March, we reported on the shifting landscape of gang activity here in El Paso.
It's a problem that's evolved since its peak in the 1990s.
Police are still looking for the gun-toting gang members who shot a Lower Valley teenager this afternoon.
So while the outward signs of gang presence may have faded, the FBI says the threat remains. Back in March, we spoke to the FBI about the way gangs operate, and local agents say members no longer openly claim territory or affiliations.
The gang threat has changed since the 90s. I'm starting to see more of the cells, individual cells operating in hybrid fashion.
According to El Paso police, the influence of gangs is still being felt, particularly among young people who are increasingly involved in violent crime.
The younger upcoming gangs, so to speak, are the ones that are now kind of involved more in shootings that are happening within the city. They've evolved where they're not dressing a certain way. One gang member might be a member of two different type of gangs.
So authorities have stressed the importance of community involvement in combating gang activity. To report any suspicious activity, you can scan that QR code there at the bottom of your screen, or you will also have a link at our website, kfoxtv.com.